SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey was on Marty and McGee on Saturday morning in a great interview. You should go check the whole thing out on the podcast. It was a spectacular deep dive with Greg Sankey. But they asked him specifically, where is your concern for college football this fall? This is what he said.
High to very high. I look at the numbers every day, and the important issue is not just numbers or looking at numbers. It is trying to understand and comprehend, and that's where literally you want experts, moving you away from the scroll or the titles at the bottom of the TV screen or the interviews of this expert or that, and find people out of the public domain who are highly intelligent, highly educated, highly skilled at helping guide information. And we put a medical advisory group together in early April with the question of what do we have to do to get back to activity? And they've been a big part of the conversation. But the direct reality is not good. And the notion that we've politicized medical guidance of distancing and breathing masks and hand sanitization, ventilation and being outside, being careful where you are in buildings. I mean, there's some very clear advice about you can't mitigate and eliminate every risk, but how do you minimize the risk? And we are running out of time to correct and get things right.
When he says they're running out of time, by the way, most expectations are they've got to start making decisions by the end of July. So we're into the last few weeks.
When this all started in March, that seems like 10 years ago. Yeah. But in reality, it's just a couple of months, and time flies. Think about March from the sports aspect. Rudy Gobert tests positive, and I mean sports shut down, right? The NBA shut down and everything shut down. And we said, we're not doing anything now with this positive test. And then you see a few more positive tests, obviously. Now we're talking about how do we restart sports amidst dozens to hundreds of positive tests in sports. And I know we've learned more along the way, but just that headline of one test, shut her down, everything down, from a sports aspect I'm talking, to now we hear this, 10 people tested positive. How many tested of all different teams in all sports that are trying to get going again, and we're trying to find a way to still get our sports up and going again. And I think we all know about the safety and all this. We've heard it time and time again, though that seems to be changing as well. But what he said at the end is the most important thing, right? We're running out of time. Because remember, right now was supposed to be starting the quote-unquote OTA type version of college football, something you never get right now. College football players are usually not with their coaches at all until the beginning of August, but they're getting this special 6-week time, which starts right in the area of now, or was supposed to at places, where they could be with their coaches leading up to that preseason camp in August, which everything is kind of under review now. So I think that was the most important thing he said, is that long runway we talked about, man, that plane is fast approaching and the runway is almost out.
And that's a huge part of why those decisions need to be made, because you've got coaches and players that are still on campus in these environments practicing and training with a season in mind right now. And if you're going to make a decision about what happens this fall, you owe it to a lot of people, but it all centers around certainly the health and safety of that group, but also the way they're using their time right now and making sure you're not then putting a group at unnecessary risk for a season that may not happen in this fall.
Golic and Wingo brought to you by Sport Clips. It's a new season at Sport Clips. Haircuts, all stylists are clean, certified, and guy smart. Get yourself back in the game with our legendary MVP experience. Check in online today. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio. Jason Fitz in for Trey with Mike Golic and Mike Golic Jr. And this is where I have to loudly say something I've been saying for the last week. If you are a theorist that thinks all of this is BS, if you're somebody that thinks this is all junk, I can't say this loud enough. Your opinion on this doesn't matter. Like, none of our opinions on COVID-19 or mask wearing or how the government's handled it, like, none of that matters at all. Because what we've heard from the head of the SEC, Greg Sankey, is they have their own medical group, and they are talking to their own medical group. And that medical group thinks these things matter. So if for everybody that comes in and says, oh, we're having the conversation the wrong way, or whatever the conspiracy theory is, I don't really care. Like, the reality is, as long as the numbers keep going up, what we've heard from conferences are the medical experts they talk to and they trust will not propose that football moves forward. That's the only thing that matters. Like we're so stuck in this debate of who's right and who's not right, and what do we know, and what do we not know. And it's like the one thing we do know is if numbers are escalating, college football is not going to happen. And if you don't think that's right, nobody really gives a damn because it's still not going to happen. So there has to come some point where you just stop the madness and say, okay, here's the reality that we have to deal with no matter what I think of the conspiracy theories. Like I think we're having the wrong conversation.
I for one am shocked that large bodies of people aren't making decisions based on conspiracy theories, that college football would choose to ground themselves in what doctors are saying. Like, what a novel concept.
Well, it's kind of like the draft. We all think what team who a team should take, but it doesn't matter what we think. It's all what the grade is for that particular team. And you're right. It's the same thing here. We all can give our opinions, but they're going to lean on who they want to lean on. And as I said many, many times, when you want something to happen, sometimes you'll look to lean on a person who will green light it. Just as a player, players can get second and third opinions. You get that team doctor that says one thing and it's not what you want to hear. You know what a player does? They'll go out and get that second opinion to that third opinion to sometimes get a doctor to lean the way they want them to lean.
But we know that's not happening here. That's the thing, is they're relying on this from the safest possible way. By and large, all decisions are made by medical people who, again, across the board, like you're not finding medical people saying this is a hoax or that this isn't going on or that you shouldn't be wearing masks.
But you could find medical people that will give different views on you.
But I don't think anyone's trying to do that. The conversation we're having here is fans that don't want to wear masks complaining loudly that these kids that are less at risk of dying of this disease should be out there playing for their entertainment. Which say that aloud to yourself and then wonder how you sleep at night.
I 1,000% agree.